Let's look at this question. The following table gives details related to the number of runs scored by four players, Kemp, Kallis, Klusner, and Kevin, in four different tournaments. Standard Bank Series, Afro-Asia Cup, NatWest Series, Benson and Hedges Series. However, the names of the players are disguised as PQRS. So this here is players. Not necessarily in the same order, and names of tournaments are disguised as ABCD. So this is the tournaments. Okay. It is also known that the total number of runs scored by the four players put together in Afro-Asia Cup was greater than that in the other three tournaments. This is a wonderful piece of information for us because this will help us uniquely identify Afro-Asian Cup. Let's go 225, 250, 300, 350. So this is 550, 550 plus 25, so 1075. 550, 550 plus 25, so 1125. A has 1125. B has 325, 275, 600. 600 plus 400 is 1200. 1000, 1000 plus 250 is 1250. Okay. 250, 275, and 300 adds up to 825. 825 plus 125 is 950. Finally, 200, 200, 300 is 700. 700 plus 275 is 975. So now I know for certain the Afro-Asia Cup is this one. This is the highest one. Done. The absolute difference between the total runs scored in the Afro-Asia Cup and the Benson Hedges series and the total runs scored in NatWest series and Standard Bank series by the four players was 100. Okay. So now I have to find a pairing for 1250 such that the summation of other two is exactly 100 less or 100 more than it. Okay. I see 1250. I see 1250 is 75. No, 125 more than A. See, A and B will definitely not pair up. A cannot be the Benson and Hedges series because they are the two highest ones. So I see 1250 or Afro-Asia Cup is 125 more. And here the difference is of 25. Which number do I need? Of course, the smaller one so that the difference turns out to be 100. You can also go ahead and do the mathematical manipulation. Otherwise, simply looking at it, because this is winning by 125 and you have to win overall by 100, here you have to lose by 25. This will be Benson and Hedges. This will be Benson and Hedges. This is guaranteed. Between these two, which is NatWest and which is Standard Bank series, we don't know. But Benson and Hedges is definitely Tournament C. This is known. Point 2 is also done. Next, when the total runs scored by the individual players in the four tournaments put together were arranged in descending order from top to bottom, Kevin and Kemp occupy the top two positions. Okay. Kevin and Kemp occupy the top two positions does not mean Kevin has to be rank 1 and Kemp has to be rank 2. They could be rank 1 or rank 2. Both are possible. But let's try and record. First, we'll have to find out the summation of runs scored by each player. So 225, 250, 275, 250 into 3, 750 plus 300. So 1050. Here 250, 275, 300. So 825 plus 325. 850 plus 300. So 1150. Okay. 200. 300 is 500. 250, 250 is 500 plus 25. So 1025. And finally 200, 300, 400, 100. So 1000 plus 75. So 1075. So now we know the top two scorers are Kevin and Kemp. So this is Kevin or Kemp. And this is Kemp or Kevin. Which also tells me this is Kallis or Klusner. And correspondingly, this is Klusner or Kallis. We haven't got to a very precise identification, but the nature of the question is that you don't really need precise identification for every subpart. You need to do your work further. Here also I'll write Standard Bank or NatWest. And this is NatWest or Standard Bank. Let's read through the first statement. What can be said regarding the following two statements? Statement X. Carlos's second highest score was in the NatWest series. Okay. Now Carlos could be either P or R. If he is P, his second highest score is in Benson and Hedges. If he is in R, his second highest score is in the Afro Asia Cup. So I can state with absolute confidence, statement X is definitely false. Let's look at statement Y. The absolute difference between the highest individual scores in Afro Asia Cup and Standard Bank series was 100. Okay. Highest absolute score in Afro Asia Cup was 400. If Standard Bank is the tournament A, then the difference is 50. If Standard Bank tournament is D, then the difference is 100. So statement Y could be true, could be false, depending upon where you place Standard Bank. So what can be stated about the following statements? If X is true, then Y is necessarily true. X is never true. Statement X is false and statement Y is true. Not definitely true. Statement X is false, but statement Y may be true. Yes, this is the correct version because X is definitely true. Carlos's second highest score is never happening in NatWest series. But if Standard Bank was tournament D, then Afro Asia Cup and Standard Bank top score difference could be 100. So the answer to the first question is option C. Question 6. What can be said regarding the following two statements? Klusner's highest score was in NatWest series. Okay. Klusner's highest score. If Klusner is at P, his highest score could be in NatWest series. If Klusner is at this point in R, his highest score will be in Benson and Hedges. So I can't be absolutely certain. This is maybe true, maybe false. Carlos's second lowest score was in Standard Bank series. Okay, okay. Now, if Carlos is here, his second lowest score will be in Afro Asia Cup. So for this case, it doesn't work. But if Carlos was here, his second lowest score will be in tournament A, which could be Standard Bank. Okay, this is fine. This is fine. Let's read through. If one of the statements is false, then the other one is definitely false. This is a beautiful way of saying it because in my head, what I'm thinking is, if I put Klusner here, and I put the tournament D as NatWest and tournament A as Standard Bank and Klusner at P and Carlos at R. Can you see? Highest score for Klusner is indeed happening in NatWest, and the second lowest score for Carlos is indeed happening in what? Standard Bank series. So in my head, I was thinking, if statement X is true, then Y has to be true. Or if statement Y is true, X has to be true. That is what I was thinking. But the way they framed it is, if one of the statement is false, then the other is definitely false. But unlike, as in, it is not likely that you would completely understand the statement straight away. So let us look at the other options. You should not reject it. You should not reject it because we don't understand. Let us look at the other statements. If statement X is true, statement Y is necessarily false. This is wrong. If X is true, Y has to be true. If statement Y is true, then statement X is necessarily false. This is also wrong. If X is true, Y is true. If Y is true, X is true. Both X and Y are true independently. No, this is not true. If Klusner was in R, then it would not be the case. So they are not true independently. They are possibly true. Given that you can rule out BCD, now we can come back and mark option A as the answer. If one of the statements is false, the other one is necessarily false. Beautifully framed options. Okay. Next one now. What can be said regarding the following two statements? Kevin's lowest score was in Benson and Hedges series. Okay. Kevin comes in either Q or S. Benson and Hedges, Benson and Hedges. Whether Kevin is at Q or Kevin is at S, can you see Benson and Hedges is definitely the tournament in which his lowest score has come. So this statement is true. This is definitely true. This statement is definitely true. Next, Kemp's highest score was in Afro-Asia Cup. Okay. Kemp, even if he's at Q, his highest score will be in Afro-Asia Cup. And Kemp, even if he is at S, his highest score will be in Afro-Asia Cup. So this is also necessarily true. Both these statements are necessarily true. And therefore, the answer to this question is option C. Last question now. What can be said regarding the following two statements? Statement X, the total runs scored by Kevin in the 4 tournaments put together was the highest. The number of runs scored by Kemp in the NatWest series was highest. Okay, if I take Kevin to be here, Kevin to be Q, then statement 1 will be true. And if Kevin is here, Kemp would have to be here. The total runs. If statement X is true, then statement Y is necessarily true. No. If statement X is true, pay attention. If statement X is true, then it would mean necessarily that second thing, Kemp's score in NatWest will not be the highest. Ooh, wait. 1 minute. The number of runs scored by Kemp in the NatWest series was highest. No, if Kemp is here, the highest score for Kevin and Kemp, both, is definitely in Afro-Asia Cup. So the number of runs scored by Kemp in the NatWest series was highest. He is wrong. Okay. So if statement X is true, statement Y is necessarily true. This is never going to be true. This is definitely false. This total number of runs scored by Kevin in the 4 tournaments put together was the highest. Could be true, possibly true. Possibly true. Okay. With this in mind, if statement X is true, statement Y is necessarily true. Statement Y is never true. If statement Y is true, statement Y can never be true. So this is anyway gone. If statement Y is false, then statement X is necessarily true. Statement Y is always false, and statement X is possibly true. So option C is the only remaining one. Statement Y is definitely false, but statement X may be true. If Kevin is at Q, Kevin does indeed have the highest runs total. Kevin could also be at S, which would make statement X untrue. The answer to this question will be option C, and that is the entirety of this set. Again, a beautiful set for the simple reason it does not ask you to calculate too much, but it tries to trick you into misinterpreting the language of the question, which is a wonderful trope to have for DILR sets. That will be all here. Hopefully you learned something.